Hello everybody, welcome to another Inkscape developer update. My name is Martin. I'm an Inkscape developer who develops features and fixes according to what users would like to see. As always, I want to give a big shout out to my supporters on Patreon, and also a big shout out to all of the supporters that support me in other ways. You guys are the best, helping me to continue this work and see if we can make Inkscape more sustainable and more capable of delivering actually what users are needing. This week I'm feeling a lot better from last week. Thank you all for the well wishes again. I managed to actually, I feel like I managed to get a lot of work done this week. So I hope you agree and I hope you like the fixes and things that I managed to get in. Let's start with the fixes. So the trace bitmap interface was not updating the widgets, so you would select different bitmap tracing modes, and it just wasn't giving you the options that you needed. That's fixed. I improved the filter dialog because we have a new automatic regions for filters, things like blurs and things. Now when you checkbox that automatic mode, it disables the coordinates, so you're not confused about whether you should set coordinates or not. I also fixed the fast crop filter. This is a special filter, I think it's new, that allows you to very quickly crop your object using the filters. It's a bit of a hack, I'd say, but it basically just gives you two handles that you can quickly crop an object with. There's more welcome screen fixes. The double clicking on a recent object was loading a new document instead of the object that you were clicking on. That's been fixed. The keyboard shortcuts weren't loading correctly until you restarted, which seems a bit pointless. So that's been fixed. We've continued to do the translating stuff in trying to make sure that welcome screen is translated. Big shout out to Patrick, who helped make sure that the code was consistent with how Inkscape works for translating graphics, updated the documentation, and that all seems to be fixed. We also found a weird bug in the Japanese translation where it translated EN, or English, to EN, English, which meant that Japanese graphics couldn't be translated because it couldn't identify them. I fixed a graphic crash in the Glyphs dialog. I bet you didn't know we had a Glyphs dialog, and no, I certainly didn't. But basically, because of the upgrades to the dialog system that we have in 1.1, it was causing a crash. That's been fixed. There was a crash in the image filters. This is in the filters dialog when you would set an FE, what's known as an FE image filter. That would crash. While I was there, I also put in some protection so that if you tried to set a filter to itself, so it was trying to image itself, which causes an infinite loop, I tried to put in some fixes there to prevent that from happening. Because what would happen is the Inkscape would just freeze. It wouldn't even give you an error; it would just lock up. Not good. I re-enabled the pasting of colors. So this is where you can copy a color without opacity, just the color, and then paste it into Inkscape on an object. So you say you've got an object selected, rectangle or something, and you just do Ctrl V on top of that object. If you have a color code on the clipboard, that color gets pasted in. We used to have that feature. It was removed, I think by accident actually. So I've added it back in and actually made it more functional, because now it's not just hex codes, you can actually paste in things like RGB, CSS stanzas and things. It'll attempt to parse whatever you try and paste as if it's a color. Hopefully in the future we can support opacity as well. That seemed to be an omission in the color code that we have. I think we need some refactoring of the color code because it assumes opacity doesn't exist in ways that I don't agree with. A big bug fix has actually been this long-standing problems with widgets in the dialogs not being updated when you're in window mode. So most of the time Inkscape's full screen and it's fine. But if you're in window mode, i.e. the Inkscape loads in a non-maximized window, sometimes you wouldn't be able to load dialogs at all. Like you would go to the fill and stroke and it just wouldn't appear. And then if you did get it to appear because you resized the window slightly and then exited the dialog or closed it, the space that it took up would still be there. Right? Clearly there's a problem. I spent 2 days methodically testing GTK and going through all the widgets and things. I'm very happy with the result for this bug because it's been with us for at least 5 years, I think. And it's about time it got fixed. It was marked as a critical for this release. We marked it critical last year actually, but we kind of forgot about it. So when we were reviewing bugs that were for this release, I noticed this one and I wanted to get it fixed. Another long-standing issue, speed problems when it comes to selecting objects. So people notice that when you select objects, when you have nothing selected and then you select an object, that takes more time than just selecting an object and then selecting another object, which is just bizarre. And so I figured out what was going on. The fill and stroke dialog, all of those widgets that you can see with the colors, where you set the colors and stuff, it was destroying all of those widgets and then recreating all of those widgets every single time you deselected something or selected something. And yeah, that's not great. So stopped it doing that and made it be persistent so that it just creates the widgets once, the first time you select an object. And then it just reuses them, so it's pretty fast. I actually couldn't tell the speed problem because my computer's pretty fast. So what I did was I used a program called CPU limit that told my computer to give 200 megahertz of CPU, a single CPU, to Inkscape, and it ran really slowly, which is good because I could definitely see the problem because it would take like 7 seconds to select an object instead of 1 second when it was, rendered correctly. So those kinds of speed improvements, really love getting those fixed because they are long-standing issues, and Inkscape needs this kind of like refinement to pick out these speed problems, because on Linux they don't affect us as much because Inkscape's pretty fast. But on Windows machines and on Mac machines, this kind of like widget destruction, widget creation is exactly the kind of thing that makes Inkscape clunky and harder to use really. I did actually do a feature this week. I don't know whether you guys saw the feature video that I did, but it's basically you can control click on nodes using the node tool, and it will straighten the line for you. And I also added, if you double click while holding control, it will delete the line. This is a feature request because somebody was saying how Illustrator has this functionality. I believe you press Alt in Illustrator. This has met with good acclaim so far. People seem to think that this feature is really nice. I hope you guys do. These kinds of things, I think they need more refinement over time, but we'll see how people like this feature and whether they think it can be improved further. I also did a bunch of website fixes to allow it to be run locally again, to fix a forum moderation problem where they were having people spammers post innocuous messages and then edit them a few days later. So we've limited it so that you can only edit a forum post for 1 day, and then after that day you can't edit your forum posts again unless you're a moderator. Where am I going? I did have a go at a user interface issue with the paint selectors, but Inkscape needs refactoring, and so I quit doing that. I didn't want to drag the whole week trying to do something that was not going to make it into 1.1 anyway. And there was other issues like with extensions and stuff and website pages and other things, but those are all administrative stuff. So I think that's about it for this week. It's been a pretty busy week. 1.1 is very close now, so we're looking at crashes. If you are seeing crashes, especially on Windows, because Windows is delicate, let me know so that we can so I can tell you how to create crash reports, because that's the thing that will get this issue fixed, is basically being able to detect what's going wrong and then put it right. And we want to put it right before we make the release, so that when everybody's using the new version of Inkscape, they don't basically rag on us for having an unstable release again, because fixing problems in Windows is hard. Most of our users are on Windows, and they legitimately, have reason to complain when it crashes all the time. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next week.